Yeah, the food movement is in an interesting place in that, you know, we've kind of, we've won the media. It's amazing for a political movement that actually is, you know, asking for some pretty radical changes, that the media is so friendly and gives such good coverage. It drives conventional agriculture absolutely crazy, in fact. But, you know, you read the editorial boards, unless you're talking about the Des Moines Register or something, and you read, you know, you look at what's in films and what's on television. We've got a lot of support in the media. But we have such a long way to go in Washington. And even though there is a lot of sympathy in the administration, and that I think we can count Michelle Obama as a real friend of the food movement in many, many ways, the committees in Congress are really what will stand in the way of any significant change. The agriculture committees in both the Senate and the House are really controlled by corporate agriculture, and they are digging in their heels. They're probably more reactionary today than they've ever been, and they're afraid to start a conversation about reform. They're afraid to negotiate because I think that they feel their position really is a little precarious. If, to the extent this issue becomes a public issue and is not just debated in this small circle of politicians, they lose. To the extent that you know, food politics becomes national politics, it's very hard to justify the subsidy system that we have today. It's very hard to justify this kind of school lunch program. In the harsh light of public examination, these things fall. So they want to keep us out of the conversation. And that really is, if you listen to someone like Colin Peterson, who's the head of the House Ag Committee, when he's giving interviews, it's like, who are these people to raise any questions about agriculture? Well, these people are eaters. These are the eaters of American agriculture, and they have a, you know, they have a dog in this fight. And so I think keeping in mind, whenever there is an issue, whether it's Farm Bill reform or school lunch reform, that right now your congressman or woman, I don't know who represents you guys, doesn't really think that their vote on ag policy issues or food policy issues is a tough vote. They can trade it away to you know, the ag committees if they're not on the ag committees, and I think it's our job to let them know that people are paying attention, and we need urban legislators to get on those committees. That's one really important thing. We need people who are concerned about health getting on those committees. There is a woman in Western Pennsylvania who's Kathy Dahlkemper. You may have heard her name. She was one of the last holdouts on the health care bill. She's a pretty moderate Democrat, and she's on the ag committee. And she doesn't have much ag in her part of the world. She's in Erie County, Pennsylvania. She's a dietitian though, and she got on the ag committee because she realized that if you really want to change health in America, you've got to look at the Farm Bill. And she wants to do that. And she went to the first meeting of the ag committee, and all the guys on it, and it was all guys basically, said to her, well, what kind of ag do you have? And she says, I don't have a lot of ag, but I've got a lot of eaters. Whoa. So we'll see what she does. Hopefully she'll get reelected. You know, I think that that's the next frontier, is really dealing with the issue in Congress. I think you have sympathy in the administration, but I think that they really can't push it very far without getting Congress to consider it. And the other person to really push is Nancy Pelosi, who, you know, historically has supported reform on agricultural policy, but since she's been Speaker has backed up Colin Peterson, you know, 100% on some really reactionary policy. And she comes from San Francisco, and as someone who's living in the Bay Area, you know, we put as much heat on her as we can, and we all need to keep that going, because the more expensive that vote in favor of reactionary policies are, the more likely it is to